Okay, so here's what I was. First of all, hi everybody, welcome to the podcast. Me and Joey were in the middle of discussion about Sonic generations and stuff. Um, so there was something
Word.
I wanted to say about the Sonic team that I think I kind of noticed, and it involves kind of something similar that I noticed with the Pokemon team. You remember that one game that the Pokemon team tried to make that wasn't Pokemon, that Little Town Hero or
Yeah,
whatever it
the
was
one that
called?
you were super excited for initially, and you were really disappointed. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, dude.
Well, I wouldn't say I was excited. I was more like hopeful that like please let Pokemon Team make a good game. But I think after that, that's where I kind of developed this theory. I think Pokemon Team has worked on Pokemon for so freaking long they don't know how to make another game anymore. It's like
I
they've done it
think
for so long that they just can't anymore.
think I think
all of
one of
their development skills have been min maxed to Pokemon.
what has the focus of Pokemon always been too? Because it hasn't been making a good game; it's been making a lot of money. And when you build a game around that concept, obviously you're going to get what Pokemon is, and
I mean,
that's just the unfortunate truth of the matter. Is
that's that's kind of what I feel like has kind of started to almost happen with Sonic Team. They've worked on Sonic for so long that they've kind of min maxed on only making Sonic games. But the problem with Sonic Team is that they keep trying to change it up. And since they're so min maxed into whatever it is they were doing previously, whenever they switch it up, they don't know how to switch it up.
I mean, they're not min max because they fuck up like every two nowadays. I feel like.
Well, that's why they fuck up every two. They try to change it up and then they fuck it up because they're min maxed so hard.
No, it still plays like a Sonic game in general. It's just the surrounding like concepts in the game, like Sonic Lost World. On the surface, fun idea. Just rip off Mario Galaxy. It's fine, but playing it, it feels wrong.
Well, yeah, that's because they know how to make a Sonic game, but they don't know how to make Mario Galaxy.
Right? If they knew how to make a Sonic game, it would have felt right. Like it just wouldn't have been a good game, even if it felt right. Because like there are Sonic games that are bad games that feel right.
No. I feel like a lot of the problems with Lost World isn't that they don't know how to make a Sonic game. It's that they don't know how to make a Sonic game that's as platform heavy as it is. As
Well,
Lost World
I
is.
think that's one of those big issues too. Is when you play only as Sonic in the games, that's the point, is to go fast, and it should be for when you play as Sonic because that's okay. That's his character.
By the way, for the audience members, I should point out that this argument started when Joey was saying that Generation should have other characters playable. And I'm
It
on the
should.
side of like Generations is fine as it is.
Also, that was not the start of the argument. Don't you dare straw man me
Was
like
it?
that, you little bad. No, it was me pointing out. First off, it was me showing like, okay, fucking Sparking Zero, because it was people were debating online between Sparking Zero and Generations X Shadow, and they were bitching about Sonic and Shadow for the wrong reasons. Basically
That's
saying,
right.
well, Sparking Zero is a better game, and I'm like, okay, for what it is and for how dated the control set is, I would give it a 7.78 out of 10 myself, at most, because of all the stuff that's not in it, and there is a lot. But I also would give the same to Sonic X Shadow because it's Sonic Generations, which is not a large game. There's not a lot to do.
Well, now it's like twice the size of. Now it's doubled the size.
But it's not the Shadow missions aren't like ridiculously long. Like they aren't comparable to the length of the Sonic.
So I've been playing it. Yeah, they are. There's just not
like
as many gates out. But let me put it like this: there aren't as many like side quest gates, but there are. But there is like an open like lobby area you can explore. So, like,
Yeah,
it's about the same. It's about the same.
I've looked into it. It's not.
You've looked into it, but haven't played it.
Yes, that's part of looking into it. It's not, by the way.
Well, I'll admit I also haven't finished it. I don't know how many levels there actually are, but like, it's the levels are 2 acts, just like they were in original Sonic Generations.
Right, I'm not arguing.
one regular 3D act, one mostly 2D act. Yes, there are 2D acts.
Included in that because they are barely 2D.
No, they're 2D. There's no
They're
third
2D
dimension to run around in.
They're
What they
Sonic.
do is they
They're,
play around with the camera a little bit, but it's 2D. It's
they,
2D.
they, they do that in Crisis City for Sonic's 3D version too. That's not 2D. That's 3D. That's 2.5D. That's different. That's not classic Sonic style stages, which is okay. I'm
Well,
not. I
then the
never.
original Sonic stages and generations are 2.5D too. Whatever.
Well, the
Point is,
classic
you can only
Sonic
move left and right in them, and up and down. You can't go
here
forward
is
and
they
back.
have stages for Shadow because he never came out in the 2D series.
Yeah, and that's why the 2D sections stick out in my brain because I'm like, well, that's weird that they have these.
My point
I'm
here
not
is,
saying it. I'm not saying they should be in the game. I'm saying they are in the game.
we're diverging. We're diverging.
Sorry.
My point was the 8.
That's why you got to play the game instead of just looking into it, Joey.
I told you I did.
I don't know. You would have noticed the 2D sections pretty quickly. They're literally Act 2 of the first level.
Between classic Sonic and Shadow didn't feel 2D to me. I don't know. But my point is that was me weighing it with nostalgia and recognizing they added more to the game, but it is a dated Sonic gameplay style, somewhat, because they've obviously evolved
well, of
the
course
style.
It's a dated style. It's a remake. It's a remake.
Well, it's a remaster with added content.
That's pretty remakey.
No, because then they just remake the main game. No, they didn't. But my point here is, I was telling Jesse he reminds me of a abuse victim who's been beaten down by so many bad games that even like when you're fed gruel every day, you look at like a piece of Kraft cheese as like gold.
I think it's weird though that your biggest complaint is what's not in the game, but like you don't sound like you hate anything that's actually in the game.
No, but my point was it would need more to be a higher rating because there's not enough.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's a fun, satisfying game all the way throughout. 8 out of 10.
How much does it cost?
This remake, I think that's about $60.
$60? Okay. $60 is not it. No. And that's with anyone that they do that shit with, by the way, folks. Any game they do that shit with, no, that's not for me, dog. Not for me, dog.
Well, let's see. Based on my stream, it took me an hour and a half to get through the first section of Shadow. I'm guessing there's 3 sections just like in that, so that's about a 4.5 hour game for the Shadow section, plus the 4.5 hours for the Sonic section, so that's about a 9-hour game.
That's nothing.
Most Mario games are about 9 hours. Well, the 2D Mario games are less than that.
Yes, and I see it on Nintendo all the time. You see how, like, it just feeds into my point. It's a problem.
Most shooters don't go that long. Most Halo games don't go for that long.
Shooters tend to go that long if they have a campaign, yes. But most shooters aren't made for campaigns anymore these days, and that sucks. That's a different issue, though. And they're different games entirely, too.
I don't think most Devil May Cry games go for that long.
It depends on the one you're playing. I do think that 2...
I'm just saying, like, 8 or 9 hours is about what you'd expect for most games.
Most games is around
You play too many RPGs, Joey.
most games are around, most RPGs are around 40.
I know.
Most games are.
So I think it's a skewing your brain a little bit for how long most games are.
Regular games are around 20. 20
You're
50,
like,
50.
oh, the average is 20, except, you have your outliers in the RPGs, which are just, like, way out of the pocket for how long they are compared to other games.
This is non-RPGs. Most games are around 20 hours. Most people think that 10 hours is a ripoff. It's that you're getting beaten with a pan again by your abuser.
Okay, so, like,
Jesse.
what non-RPGs are 20 hours? I literally can't think of any off the top of my
I
head.
didn't say the RPGs are 20 hours, Jesse.
I said non-RPGs.
Oh, here, I can give you a list.
Waiting. Oh, yeah, see, you have to look them up. You can't even think of them off the top of your head.
Well, because I don't have a numerical calculator in my brain all the time, Jesse. Resident Evil games, Uncharted games, God of War games, Control was. Control was actually longer than that, but that's just because it was wordy. I'm not going to count Cyberpunk because I think if you run straight through it, it's shorter.
Oh, Cyberpunk's like way longer than 15 to 20 if you do the side quests and shit.
Exactly, but I don't know exactly like how short it would be if I just ran straight through, so I don't want to make that statement without knowing. The Yakuza games, as we know.
So I'm looking at like open world games, like are the ones that do it mostly.
I mean, I've been trying to rush through Yakuza 1 Kiwami recently, and I'm I'm telling you, I've been rushing through it, like straight through, no side quests, skipping all the cutscenes, and it's taken me over 15 hours.
And that's fine, but like those are like open world games, which is like also like RPGs, kind of one of those genres that's just known for being long.
Oh, there are some that just aren't. But like there are
Doom
some
and
that
Doom
just
Eternal
are.
open world, God of War open world, Cyberpunk open world, is Uncharted open world? No, it's not. Resident Evil open world, Yakuza open world. It's like, yeah, open world games and RPGs all really fucking long. Also, Yakuza are RPGs.
Resident Evil is not open world. Resident Evil is enclosed areas.
They're pretty open enclosed areas.
Only in the newer ones, maybe, Jesse. Like specifically, like maybe 4 is one of the only old ones you could, and 5, like the after 3, I would say. After tank controls, right? But before that, you're stuck where you're at. Like that's not open. Open is a very specific term that you need to be careful how you use it because like you're kind of not using it right.
But like I'm trying to think of like platforms that are that long. Some Metroidvanias maybe? I don't know. Metroidvanias kind of rely on you going backwards a lot though, so that's kind of padded.
Look for specific.
Like what games like Sonic are that long?
Mario Galaxy. Oh yeah. Yeah, some of the 3D Mario games take a while, it looks like. The completion rate is
through Sunshine the other day, and that took me like 2 hours to get every shine. Did not take me long.
Sunshine.
Like Mario Galaxy does not take that long.
Looks like it does. Maybe you gotta play through it again. Maybe you gotta play through it on stream.
I do have to play through it again on stream, specifically.
But like, I want to say I get where you're coming from. A lot of Nintendo specific platformers, it looks like, are pretty similar lengths to Sonic if you just run straight through. But if you do anything else in the game, that's where you get your content in those.
But I think for me, it's like when I think about like a Sonic game that's longer, which don't get me wrong, I would love a longer Sonic game. I also wouldn't mind if it was just longer with more Sonic. I mean, it doesn't have to have the other characters for it. I guess get back to the original argument.
Like, I don't want just Sonic in those games. Also, if you run straight through Sonic Generations, it's 5.5 hours. That's fucking nothing.
Original Sonic Generations? Yeah, that's not much. Though, again, when you add the shadow to it, now it's like 10 hours, so.
Here, let me see. So it's, no, people are just getting good. So it's still 5.5 hours. So it probably was pulled back in the day for the original one. People probably just got good. Main plus extras is 9 hours 38 minutes. At most, you'll get 26 hours out of this game, but it's that like that's the most of this game is the side shit, which is time trials. Let's be clear, it's very simplistic time trials.
That's still 26 hours. So that's actually pretty good. I was thinking about
I
my
mean,
hour and 30 minutes, but then I remembered, all right, I was blasting through the game at high speeds because I'm still good at the
you
game.
realize you cannot sell a game to a regular person and expect them to say it's good if you're forced to complete the game to get a lot of game out of it. That's not fair to the pocketbook. I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm looking at this and that's
So, Sonic games have,
less than an hour for every
and a
ten
lot
dollars.
of major Sonic fans would say this. Sonic games have never been about getting to the end. They've been about getting to the end good. So, repeating the levels and getting good has always been kind of the thing. Time travelers and stuff like that, that's just part of it.
Right, but we also were the same people who shat on the get good scrub people who play Dark Souls, and we need to be consistent here with that because that's unhealthy things to do to other players.
Well, I'm not saying
And we
get good
alienate
scrub.
a
I'm
fan
saying
base.
like that is part
You
of the
are.
game. It's like
You're saying it's
no, you're dismissing it for the time it takes. You're like, oh, it's 26 hours, but it had time travel. No, the time travels are part of it. That's part of the time you put into the game.
no. There are only a certain amount of things that you actually have to do, and we're talking casual people. Casual people don't search out everything. They don't. They just don't. And that's
Okay,
not
but how
fair
long
to
is a
the
Yakuza game if you don't do the side quests?
It doesn't take long.
So, like, that's the
And
thing. It's like,
because some people just like the story of Sonic games, maybe, or some people just want to run fast through the main thing and fight the final boss.
then
Some
that's
people are
fine.
kids.
They probably don't care about the length of the game at that point. I'll be
But the
honest.
point
I
is,
think at that point, the length of the game is not the point.
I think that it's still an issue because, like, if I'm playing Mario Odyssey and I'm getting 9 hours, or sorry, it was actually 12 hours out of the base game with nothing added, that's nearly 3 times the game without doing anything extra for the same price.
So,
And it's a better
do you know what
platformer.
one of the weird complaints about Mario Odyssey is?
Go ahead, tell me.
That's padded with too many of the moons. Like, people
I've
think Mario
never-
Odyssey is actually too long.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the completion for that one.
Which, yeah, the completion for Odyssey is important because you'll be completing Odyssey. That's kind of the point of a collectathon.
I mean, somewhat.
Somewhat. Obviously, you'll probably reach a point where you just quit, but at that point, you're quitting on your own time, not because the game told you to.
Or you're just done playing it, which is okay.
Yeah. That means you've got your money worth because you went as far as you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, so it's 13.2 minutes for just the main story. And, like, if you do the extras, it bumps it up to about 28 hours, which is, I think, respectable. And it doesn't, like, there's enough main story in it for it to take up half of the thing with the extras, unlike Sonic, where it's not that.
So,
And I think
the
that's
thing I'm reading, it says 12 and a half hours for Mario Odyssey and 62 hours for 100% if you want to do all the side stuff.
I'm seeing 64 hours for 100%.
Well, roughly the same.
Yeah, so let's just guesstimate.
I think Google's doing its weird AI thing where it's fucking with us.
Well, I'm not on Google right now. I am on How Long to Beat, and I am on a polled one that has different polls for average playstyle, medium playstyle, rush, and leisurely playstyle. So if you don't give a fuck about Mario Odyssey, 19 hours, right? If you don't give a fuck about completing Mario Odyssey, 131 hours because you're just chilling. But like if you're going fast, 8 hours and 3 minutes, 41 hours and 31 minutes, you know. But my whole thing here, what I need to get back to here, though, is because we're focusing too much on this thing. And my point about all of this is Sonic Generations is not a 9.0. There are very few of those, in my opinion, that exist, and that's not one of them. I actually don't think there's a Sonic game that's made it up there yet.
That's
I think that they haven't been able.
And I'm gonna probably piss you off with this. I've been watching Spark and Zero gameplay. I'm gonna be honest. I think it's about a 6 or a 7. But I'm not a fighting game person, so.
I mean, I know how you are. I think you're just being petty. But like, I've
I
played it.
feel like I would get bored playing Sparking Zero, is what I'm getting at.
Right, but like, if you got bored playing Sonic, you'd probably give it the same. So like, objectivity here. Take your own personal bias out of this.
Well,
for a
no,
second.
that's why I was saying. That's why I was trying to make it clear that, like, no, I'm not the person who would appreciate Sparking Zero.
Oh, right. But like, you can still be objective. I know you have the ability.
Oh, I know you
so
can.
You need to
I'm sure
and
with
realize,
what people want, I'm sure it's about a 7 out of 10.
well, I mean,
or 8 out of 10.
7.5.
I don't know.
7.5. I would argue if they fix all the things I think need fixing, 8.
Okay.
And that's where it would cap for me.
And you said Sonic Generations would be about an 8 earlier, so it's like, all right, well, about the same equal game. Cool. I'm glad you think they're equal games.
Is that all you wanted, Jesse?
I don't know. I just don't know why you thought you had to bring this up. I'm like, yeah, some chuds think that are arguing.
Well, no, I notated it, and then you're like, "What, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you said this thing," and then I mentioned like what they thought it was because like I expounding on my point. And you're like, "Oh, well, I think personally Sonic X Shadow is a 9.0." I'm like, "I disagree." And then we got into our argument.
Yeah, we discussed why I think it's a 9.0. You discussed why you thought it was an 8.9. I was like, all right.
I wouldn't say 8.9. I said 8.0.
8.0, 8 out of 10, whatever.
Yeah, I mean...
Semantics at that point.
The reason I brought it up was because you asked. I don't know, man. Don't put this all on me, you little bastard.
No, it's fine. No, I recognize this entire conversation is the difference between an 8.0 and a 9.0. I recognize that we're being very specific and very anal with our discussion. I know what this discussion is. But you know, if I'm going to discuss it, I might as well discuss all the way with it, you know?
Right. So what do you think Sonic needs to be good? Because right now they're not good.
So, I mentioned it earlier, is that I really like a complete fucking Sonic game that works good. That's why I like Generations so much. That's why I like Colors so much. That's why Unleash is so well loved.
What does complete look like to you?
It's tough because what a lot of people like in Sonic is different. But for me, I just want to get from beginning to end. I want the levels to be good while doing it. I don't want to be frustrated while going through the levels. You know, good flow through the levels. Kind of hard to describe what that means, but, you know, I have to really pull up Sonic and get into the weeds of that. I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean. Like, Speed Highway is a good example of a good flowing level.
I want good flow. You know, I want, I want levels that are like, if you're good enough, you can, like, get through the levels quick. But, like, I want it to be skillful. I don't want it to be like, I saw a shortcut and did very minimum to get to it. I want it to be like, if I see that shortcut, I want it to be difficult to get to that shortcut. I want to skill the shit out of that shortcut.
Okay.
But I also want to be able to see the shortcut, because some Sonic games have a problem with that, where you can't see shit when you're running.
Yeah. Gotta love Sonic Adventure 2 for that in the last Final Rush area.
Oh, you ever play Sonic 4? Oh my god.
Bad. I think we're actually closer minded than you would imagine. I just disagree on some key things that would add.
I guess I don't mind for the fluff. That'd all be nice, you know, extra characters and stuff. That'd be nice. Well, longer adventure, that'd be nice. Open world, that'd be nice. But I wouldn't say, like, it's needed for a perfect Sonic game, you know?
I think for a perfect Sonic game, you should make everybody feel present and included. I think that all of their idiosyncrasies and interesting abilities should be available to me to use. Otherwise, I'm just looking at them, pawing at the window while a mommy doesn't let me buy it. And that's not fair to me. If I want a perfect Sonic game, I would be able to play as a good amount of the characters. It would be a fleshed out game for each of those characters. They would build the levels for each of those characters when they would go through the levels. Little changes. It's a lot of work, sure, but not more work than God of War in 2018.
Oh god, I wish I could get a Sonic game that had as much work as God of War 2018.
Well, like you get what I'm saying though. Here
I
is
do
like
get what you're
it's not.
saying. You want God of War 2018 as Sonic.
Well, I
Quality,
want
quality. You want
I
2018
want
quality.
people. It's because it's not fluff to me. They did the duty of adding the character to the series, and they all have abilities. Let me use them, damn it! Don't let me just stare at them. Because like I know what they can do. I know what their
So
abilities
my
are.
my
Let me
always
play
big
around
worry
with.
about that kind of thing is you know
Is that they'll
what
fuck
I
it
was
up?
mentioning. A lot of the levels usually require a certain level of tightness, and when you add other characters, it kind of loosens up the tightness to a certain extent. So
A
for
good
me,
thing about
I always obviously in a perfect world you could have both, but for me, I'm always
well,
worried when I hear that. I'm like, oh, are the levels gonna still be tight and awesome if you add the other
whatever
characters and the shortcuts for the other characters? Probably, but
you
maybe
just
not.
repeat the character. You just make the level different. You could even make it incredibly different. You could also, because they can do this, give different characters different types of fucking physics engine, which would
Oh
be a
my
good
god,
way to.
that's an entirely different beast of development. Oh,
But that
different
would fix the
physics
entire issue.
engines.
Because you know what we don't want? We don't want Knuckles to feel like Sonic. We just don't. We don't want Knuckles to feel like Sonic. I would have Knuckles good people if I had my way, damn you. And it would be basically you could obviously dig in the ground, but the purpose wouldn't be to find your emeralds. It would be types of attacks or mix-ups or dodges or what have you. But like that's an example. Is another physics engine for Knuckles would help with his beat 'em up section because Sonic obviously doesn't need that in a straightforward level.
But here's another thing, though. Not every Sonic fan wants a beat 'em up section. People hate the Werehog.
Because they didn't make a good one. If it was good, people would be singing its praises, Jesse. I'll tell you one thing right now.
I
If you
wouldn't. I
make a
think it'd
good
be too
game that
slow.
plays good, people will shut their fucking mouths. You know what people did when they made Devil May Cry DMC? They bitched. Why? It wasn't good. You know what they did when they made Devil May Cry 5? They didn't say a fucking thing because it played well. You know what would have happened if they had made DMC play well initially? People would have been singing his praises. I
Joey,
mean, the
Joey,
story element.
Joey.
What?
I didn't play Final Fantasy 16 because it didn't have what I liked in Final Fantasy games. So you know what?
I understand that, and I think it's good, but I objectively can understand that it's not an amazing like beat 'em up action adventure game.
I'm not playing Sonic games for the beat 'em up sections. Is what I'm getting at here, right?
That's whatever, man. Like, it's cool, dude.
Not every
I
game
mean,
needs a million different gameplay styles.
then just cut all the characters out and stop putting them in my face. Maybe you don't need them. It's not like your stories are any good. I mean, look at Shadow. His stories are some of the worst in the series.
Oh, people love Shadows. You see, now who's
They
being
love,
an inflammatory
they love
bitch?
him.
Now who's
That's
being inflammatory?
no. They only like his backstory. That's it. And it's barely any real backstory. And once they expounded upon it, it became trash because they included the devil from the Bible.
He's not the devil from the Bible.
But like, you get what I mean. When they gave snippets of it in Sonic Adventure 2, it was a really well done backstory with not a lot of things said, but a lot of things understood. Gerald seemed very mad about shit, and he was justifiably so. They shot his granddaughter in the face and tried to murder his life's work. I get it, and that was a good intro. And then they butt fucked it because Shadow the Hedgehog was built to kill the series,
Eh.
and it almost did. Didn't sell great. Wasn't a great game. In terms of even just the Sonic aspects of it, it's one of the worst in the series. But back to what I was saying, their stories aren't good. Like, it always comes down to, oh no, random Final Fantasy sloppy seconds boss number 5. We must stop them. Turn into Goku. That's it. He tried a story, Jesse. He ended up making out with. Yeah, Sonic sure does have good stories.
They
That's why
do in
we're
the
here.
comics.
I mean, you have to pick the good ones from the comics, to be clear.
IDF has been really good.
Out of all the comics, a good
If
amount
we're
of them
talking
are
Archie,
really.
Archie is a whole hot mess, but
Archie's a hot mess, but even like Sonic the comics, like their early runs were shit. Like their early drafts of Mobius, for example, not good. And it's because they didn't know how. Oh, they didn't know how to write it. I'm not saying like it's their fault. I'm saying how the fuck do you write a character like that into an actual feasible story when his whole power is being the Flash, but also Goku?
the Flash, but also Goku.
But I would say I think that everybody should be present and accounted for in gameplay. I think that Sonic games, you play through the main story as Sonic, fine, but you can play through as multiple other characters like any like
I mean, if we're talking
game.
a perfect Sonic game, obviously you gotta add the open world to that. Everybody loves the open
I
world.
mean, I would love an open world, and there are certain characters that I think would vibe very well with that open world too. I think a big thing is like that would be able to showcase the big differences, consistent by the way, big differences, not just Sonic has whips right now and Shadow has Doom weapons right now, but actual differences between these characters. What about them rings, baby? What about them inhibitor rings? You know, what about his actual Chaos Blast ability that he actually canonically has? What about Sonic's ability to intake more than just the Chaos Emerald's ability, which is unique to him? What about Tails' ability to solve puzzles in a much more unique way? You could have a great platforming puzzle game section with Tails' stuff, and I would love that. What about Amy's things, where it would turn into kind of a hybrid of like all three of those
You
things?
know, wanna
You know,
know what game tried to do that?
tell me.
Sonic Boom.
But you know what it wasn't, once again, Jesse?
Good game.
Wasn't well made.
It was not well made.
So, you
No,
know
I
what I
know
asked
what you're
for?
getting at.
If they made this well, it would be good. It would be. It's just a fact. Like, obviously, if your whole issue with this is you don't want to play as Knuckles, fine. You don't have to beat the game. You just play as Sonic through the game and you beat the game. But you know what you can do? Play through as everybody else if you want to. And then you can
Actually, you
unlock
want to think
side
about puzzle
content.
platformer? Isn't that what the Emerald Hunts were in Sonic Adventure 2? In 1?
We want those Emerald platformers back, baby. We want beat 'em ups for Knuckles because he be punching bitches.
Oh, sorry, you want the Emerald Hunts for Tails.
No, no, I don't want Emerald Hunts for anybody. Oh my god, I would never pose that.
But those are
The only
puzzle
way I would
platformers,
include
man.
an Emerald Hunt section is to farm Chow items.
Oh, yeah, I want the Chows back. Heck yeah. Bring those back.
That's another reason to give all the characters, because you can bring different characters in and they actually have
Yeah.
a much more visible effect on the Chows when you do stuff with them, with those characters. Because that was one of my favorite parts of Sonic Adventure 2. Whoever I was going through the level with, if I picked up the key in that one, that's who I went to the Chow Garden with. And I'm like, well, fuck yeah. Gives me a modem, a reason to go through these levels again with these characters.
Yeah.
Pick up items for them too, Pick up some groceries at the store. Come back with that milk and cigarettes. But my whole thing here, Jesse, is your issue is fixed with that. Sonic is the main playthrough character. That's it. And you can play through with the other ones and unlock bonus content like you used to be able.
No, that's fine.
Like, you remember Sonic Adventure DX? You
Yeah.
unlock like 20 different games that weren't good, but like you could unlock 20 different games.
Oh, yeah.
A perfect Sonic game for me would not include Team Chaotix as playable. Unfortunately, I just can't deal with Charlie.
Oh, people love Vector and SBO though.
Yeah, they do. They really do. But Charmy exists, and that's really hard. Like maybe if we replace him with Mighty because he is a part of Team Chaotic.
You get to Vector and SBO's story, and they're like, "Yeah, Charmy got kidnapped. We gotta go rescue him. He's not in most of the game, so don't worry about him. He's only at the very
I
end."
can totally deal with that. I can totally deal with that.
That would be the plot.
Well, I mean, you would unlock them through like Knuckles' side story.
You know, one thing you could do for some characters is like, you know, if you really want to cram every fucking character in, you could be like, oh, Vector's here. He could be a skin for Knuckles and just switch him out with Knuckles if you want. If you really wanted to.
I mean, basically.
If you really want to cram everybody in.
I mean, what I think could be really, like, because this is with the budget of God of War, is the expectation for this. And the time to build as much as God of War. So, like, they would have enough time to make unique levels for Vector. And, hey, you know what would be really cool? If you had, like, swamps and bayous and you could be, like, a fucking carnivore and jump a motherfucker from the water.
See, now that's getting to stealth game territory. I don't want no stealth game in my Sonic game, even as
no, you don't need to fucking stealth all the time. It's literally, it's a beat 'em up, but you have a new, cool, fun ability to jump a motherfucker if you want to. That's just fun. It's the same thing as Knuckles digging. He's like, oh, it's stealth. I'm like, no, I'm jumping a motherfucker. Are you kidding me? Popping up and I'm beating him up. It's funny as shit. But I think a big thing that needs to be said here is, you mentioned stealth game things. I don't want SBO to be a stealth game character. I want him to be more closer to Ninja Gaiden.
It sounds like you just want a Sonic beat 'em up game. Just like, yeah, I want Knuckles to be a beat 'em up. I want Vector to be a beat 'em up. I want SBO to be Ninja Gaiden, which is a beat 'em up. It's like, wait, do you just want a Sonic beat 'em up game, Joey? Is that what I'm getting at?
Hold on. I'm just mentioning the beat 'em up characters because I want to get them out of the way.
I'm sorry. I think we need a spin-off of. We need Knuckles Chaotix 2, and it's a beat 'em up.
What I think needs to happen is Sonic and Shadow are the speed characters, obviously. Rouge and Tails are the puzzle solving characters. I don't want her in a beat 'em up role because, like, honestly, her heels don't throw hands like Knuckles fit. I'm sorry. Just not how it is. And she's smart as shit. She's like a super spy. Why wouldn't she be solving puzzles? I think Vector, Knuckles should be beat 'em up characters. I don't know what I want SBO to be, honestly. Or Mighty. Maybe Mighty will be, because Mighty is said to be similar speed to Sonic, so maybe he's.
See, I think this is another problem is there's just so many characters that I think just putting them all is a little too much, though.
Well, I wasn't gonna put Alex in here, and then you throw a bone at me, and so I'm trying to.
I know, but you're the one who's all like, I want to put a bunch of characters in. I'm like, well, I'm gonna test that.
Oh,
I'm gonna see how far I can push it. You know me, I gotta push it. How would you put Big in the game, Joey? How would you put Big in the game?
I was only going to include Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Rouge, Omega, Shadow. That was it.
Oh, but you gotta play as Eggman at some point.
I mean, you could do an extra story of Eggman.
You know, you got Sonic and Shadow and Rouge. You gotta put Omega in if you're gonna have those two, you know? You can't just have those two and not have Omega. See where this goes? It's a slippery slope. You can never have everyone.
No, I already did say Omega. I said Omega. He was one of the three of their. Yeah, no, I only included 6 characters. That was my initial build. That's all you really need.
Got Team Sonic, Team Dark. Let's go.
Yeah. And, like, you have 2 puzzle solvers, 2 beat 'em
uppers. Wait, so you don't want Amy? No Amy?
I mean, you can get her as DLC.
DLC.
But you don't need her. Like, it's red, blue, and yellow.
Red, blue, and yellow. No girls allowed in this team.
I mean, we got Rouge. I don't know.
I don't know.
Omega doesn't identify as a gender.
Listen, man, like, people like Amy, they're gonna ride if she's not in the game. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's something that like I don't think they would hang up on us about because like that's I've never heard somebody say, "Where's Amy?" in my life. To be fair,
I literally just said, "Where's Amy?" in a different way 5 seconds ago. Thank you very much.
you are
You literally heard it from me a little while ago.
that is like you're just turning your autism dial to 11 real quick just to say it and then turning it back down just so you can get to me. I know how you work.
But the question is it working? Because I hear you getting a little flustered, just a little bit.
Oh no, I'm still focused. I'm my whole thing here. I think it would be a good game, and I think the fact that you would play through, and you know what, I'll throw you a freaking bone here. Two stories, one light, one dark. You play through mainly as Sonic and Shadow to beat the story, and then you play the side
Sounds like
stories
you
if
just
you
want
want
Sonic
in this
Adventure
one.
2 again, actually. I'm gonna be honest.
And that's not bad. They were gonna remake it, but this fixes the issue of forcing you into bad gameplay mechanics, or just fixing the gameplay mechanics to play well, but not forcing you to play them if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Options are nice. Forced options aren't. I understand where you're coming from. I made a compromise. What up, bitch?
This is what I always say about spin-off games. In a spin-off game, you can always do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, that's why Sonic Shuffle happened.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Nobody
trash,
said they
man.
shouldn't try the board game. Honestly, I think they should try again and do it good this time. Like they do with the
No,
Lost Sonic games.
they're that. Okay, tell me some of them.
Sorry, what?
Tell me some of the ones that they tried once and didn't do it right, and that's what did it.
Well, let's see. Sonic 06, they didn't do good. Project 06 proved that. Sonic
That's
and...
not them. No, that doesn't count because that's not them.
Sorry,
You
who's
don't get
the...
to give them credit for that.
Sonic Black Knights could be remade. That would be fine. And if they did it right, it'd be good.
I agree. I think we talked about that, where I'm like, if they had Frontiers map system in it, it would be great.
You know what? Sonic Unleashed with the Werehog sections, you know, if they did that right, they could probably do it good. You know,
I
maybe
agree,
not
but
make
these are
them...
all things that didn't happen, Jesse.
Make the combat better and maybe shorten the levels a little bit, and then you'd be good.
I agree, but like these are things they didn't do. They haven't done any of
Yeah, I
those.
know. I mean, we're talking hypotheticals here. This Sonic game you've
No,
been
no,
talking about,
I
that's
asked
all
you for the
hypothetical.
actual ones that have existed because you said that those are good when they do it. And I'm okay. Tell me some they
No, no,
do.
no. Sonic Shuffle would be good if they redid it better. I think. I think so. I said the same thing about Sonic 06, and people thought I was crazy, and the Project 06 proved me right. You know,
I
Sonic
mean,
Shuffle. I think if they redid it good, it would be a good game.
Sonic Project 06 proved that we're better at making games than they are, Jesse. It proved that they wouldn't do it right.
Okay, well, if we're gonna prove that they weren't doing everything you've said about this hypothetical Sonic game is pointless then, because they're not gonna do
I'm saying what I
it.
want. I actually prefaced this with saying this is just what I
I know, and
want.
that's what I mean with the Sonic Shuffle and all that. That's what I would want, but they're not gonna do it.
You said that it proved they can do it, and it didn't because we did.
I meant that they prove that it's possible, not that they're gonna do it.
No,
That's
you
what
said
I
that they
meant.
proved
Sorry,
they could.
sorry if I
if you-
misspoke a little bit.
Yeah. That makes
I
more
meant
sense.
possible, not that they're gonna do it.
Us doing it proved that they will never do it.
Trust me, like I said, way at the beginning of this conversation, you know, Sonic Generations is probably the best Sonic we're going to get with its 10-hour length and it's not multiple characters, because it's actually complete and you can play through it without problem. And that's the best Sonic game you're going to get.
Big things I notate here is that if we're talking best Sonic games, like most Sonic fans will say Mania. First off, just
But
because
that wasn't them! That wasn't them!
it was mixed. It was them and the fans.
It was mostly the fans, actually. They were working on Forces at the time.
They split their forces to work on Forces and Mania, actually. Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah, but the way I see it, they probably put the, like, people that they don't like the Sonic team put the people they don't like on Mania, and they were like, "Yeah, that's the game's gonna die." They literally admitted in interview they thought Mania was gonna die. So like,
Right.
I could tell they
True
put
that they did that.
the like C-list developers on Mania, and then
True they did.
the people like the indie developers were like brought it
Hold
home.
on, hold on, Jesse. They worked on Shadow the Hedgehog all together and thought that it was going to die. It doesn't prove they did that.
To be fair, Shadow the Hedgehog did kind of die.
I mean, yeah, but no, because you fucking chuds kept playing it.
Shut.
Games fucking all play it. You feed the idiots. But no, I would say Sonic Mania is the best Sonic game that was made with Sega. 06 was made alone.
I'm only giving half credit to Sega on Mania though.
I mean,
I'm giving the minimum credit I can to Sega on Mania. I'm not feeling it.
Colors is very one note. Very, it's
but it's a really good note.
Well, no, it's even shorter than Generate. Like it's, I believe, one of the shortest Sonic games. Like if you just run through it, it's so short. The levels are shorter than anyone.
I mean, just running through it is kind of the point, but you know.
Right. But like that's literally like if I can get more out of like Temple Run on like a 5-minute run, as opposed to a level of Sonic, like I want some meat to my potatoes here, right? They should have at least added more levels.
Sonic Colors is 5 levels. There are 2 main acts in each level that are like full-length levels, and then a bunch of side levels that don't matter much. So yeah, it's not very long.
The multiplayer was kind of a joke too. They were like multiplayer, and I'm like, haha.
It's just racing through the level to see who can go through it fast.
With the shadow, it was so dumb. But that
You
game
can
was
customize it though. Customizable Sonic character. You know how much people love that in Forces. It was the only thing people liked in Forces.
Well, I mean, that would have been a fun idea if Mobius existed in that universe, but it didn't, so I didn't care.
It's kind of weird how all the humans just disappeared from the Sonic universe.
I mean, you know,
like it was weird that they existed
girl,
in the first place, but now that they're just gone, it's weird again.
He kissed her, and it Thanos snapped half the people. That was the
Eggman's back to being like, why is there a human here in this world full of animals?
What the fuck are you? Oh my god, an ape can walk. A big thing I would say is Generations 2 or number 3. Adventure 2 was almost the best song in my fucking.
Sorry, Joey, you cut off there. We're getting to the point where you're cutting off on me.
Oh no. So Sonic Adventure 2 was almost up in the top 3, but they have those icky glitches still. And they have those racing levels, and those racing levels can eat the dicks. How dare you sell that to me when you make Crazy Taxi, you fuckers.
See, those levels aren't bad until you have to do the side missions for those. The extra missions. And then it's the worst thing ever.
They have you do it as a racing minigame, and it's so bad.
Oh.
They're like, oh, you want to play this versus? I would rather castrate myself. But thanks for asking. Yeah, no, I think Mania is number 1. I think Generations is either number 2 or number 3. I'm trying to think of who I think is. It's between Mania and 3 and Knuckles for me for between 2 and 3, because 3 and Knuckles has a lot of stuff to do, and it was back when they couldn't actually add multiple modes to things yet. So like.
That was one of the first games to have DLC, let me tell you.
Yeah, it sure was. And that was when games were still $70 a pop, too.
Oh.
That was before they dropped it down to 60. It was expensive, but to be fair, everybody had money back. But, yeah, no, like, Generations is one of the better Sonic games, and at least like with Adventure 2 Battle, one of the best 3D, but that isn't saying much because 3D games for Sonic kind of suck. It's not enough to do, or if they give you enough to do, they don't. You know, it's one of the two devils on your shoulder.
Either they give you enough to do and it's not finished, or they don't give you enough to do and it is finished.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, if they don't give me enough to do and it is finished, I'm like, okay, but like, then I'm just replaying levels over and over, and that becomes monotonous, and I don't like that. But if they do give me enough to do and it's not finished, I get mad with all the stuff to do. Glitching isn't finished, but I'm excited to play the level and beat it because it's a new level. At the same period, I would be replaying another level. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like Sonic fans.
God damn, can't we just have a good Sonic game that's complete?
And that's the big thing here is I want a large scale Sonic game, a lot of stuff to do. I want it to feel complete, and I want them to make sure like all of the extra characters are side content, side characters.
I can't remember where the interview is, but I explicitly remember an interview where the CEO of Sega said that he believes Sonic games as mid-tier games. Like, he doesn't treat them with the highest respect. He's like, yeah, they're low to mid-tier games. So we give them low to mid-tier budgets and expectations. I'm like, oh my god. He's treating Sonic as the low to mid tier. It's the fucking Kirby of Sega.
It's how the Germans treat the Nazis.
It's weird that Sonic gets the same treatment in Sega as like Kirby games get in Nintendo. It's like, yep, you get a nice little game with this. That's all you're getting, a nice little game.
Kirby just wasn't getting attention because Sakurai was making Smash Brothers.
Kirby's games have so much more content in them too.
Yeah, they have a good amount of content, but like Mario's just honestly, it plays as a better platform, more consistent.
Though I will give Sonic credit, the fact that it's still compared to Mario games, despite the fact that it's been like missing both its legs in the race. It's had both its legs sawed off in the race. Pretty good, honestly.
The race is done. He's in the Special Olympics. The big note here is Sonic lost the war, but the people who still try to act like there is one are in Gen X.
I'm sorry, Joey. They're not in either Olympics. They've been replaced by NFTs. Did you hear about that one?
Yugi, I've trapped your grandfather in a NFT, Yugi. You must find him on the blockchain, Yugi.
Joey, did you not hear that the reason why there's no more Mario and Sonic on the Olympic Games is because the Olympics wanted to go in an NFT route?
Of course they fucking did.
Fucking stupid. Oh, and Ubisoft just came out with an NFT game? Oh my god.
That's exactly what I wanted this Christmas.
That's what Sonic should do. Go all into NFTs. Then it might actually get a decent budget. That's how it gets the budget.
Can you hear it now, Jesse? Sonic Battle is back, and now he's on the blockchain.
Sonic Battle, another game that if they remade but good would be great if they did it good.
That game is already pretty good.
It is already pretty good. You know, G-Merle showed up in the anime, that short anime they showed up. They made a reference to it.
Yeah, well, Admiral showed up in Sonic X as a character and a storyline and everything.
I know, it's great. I love him.
That was a good beat 'em up, wasn't it, Jesse?
That was not beat 'em up. That's a fighting game.
It's a mixture, honestly.
It's a 3D fighting. It is a Sparking Zero of Sonic, is what it is. You want to compare Sparking Zero to Sonic? Compare it to Sonic Battle.
I do think Sonic Battle is a pretty damn good Sonic game.
It is a little repetitive with some of the fights, but yeah, it's really good.
But it's on the Game Boy Advance, and you know what it had to compete with? Not a lot. Like, there were 4 other games that did shit like that, Jesse, and 2 of them were only released in Japan. Mind you, they were all fun, but like, the only ones it had to deal with was Digimon Battle Spirits.
I would like a new Sonic Battle. It would be fun.
It would be fun. And you know what else we could use? Another a Shonen Jump fighting game but in the style of Jump Ultimate Stars for the DS.
Oh, that'd be great. Oh, that game was awesome.
Yeah, that's another one that was comparable to like Sonic Battle somewhat. The game, the handheld fighting game series of games.
That would, a Sonic fighting game would be a great way to bring the character creator back,
And this way, this time they don't need to just steal the Fighting Vipers system, because that's what they did in the last one.
They could kind of do it. I think taking that Fighting Vipers game and gameplay and kind of putting it in a more 3D, like, bigger arena, I think it'd be pretty work.
I think Fighting Vipers was good. I think Bloody Roar has better physics for that, though. Like, you fly further in that. So if you want a bigger arena, you need to fly far.
Well,
I think.
it's Sonic, so, go big, go fast,
Oh, yeah, 100%. There are some characters that are going to be slow.
I want this fight to go flying all over the place if it's a Sonic game.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things where, like, the thing I was describing with the beat 'em up sections, because I want it to be so refined, it's almost a fighting game. Like, if a beat 'em up feels like you're playing a fighting game with all the intricacies of the gameplay, I think that's a good beat 'em up. I think that's a high tier beat 'em up. And that's why Devil May Cry is so well liked by people, because like there's intricacy in the gameplay. You can do combos on people. Really fucking cool combos. Really easy to pick up, really hard to master, like most fighting games are, right?
So I'm having this weird thought, like what I would want from a Sonic beat 'em up, because Sonic games, you want them to go fast, you want them to go a little flowy, and there's actually a move in Sonic, in Shadow Generations that I just unlocked, where Shadow like, flings an enemy into the air and just like throws them in the distance so you can destroy multiple enemies. I kind of want that kind of gameplay like throughout the game where you're just like going through enemies really fast.
No, I totally get that. I think one of the big things to note here is in Sonic and Shadows gameplay. So Sonic's is going to be probably avoiding or
Oh my god,
through.
I want a Sonic Warriors game. That would be sick. No, sorry.
I think it's second only to the Power Rangers IDI. Because I thought the Power Rangers Warriors game.
That's what I want. I want a Sonic game where you're just mowing through people, massive amounts of robots.
I mean, if One Piece can get away with it, why not? Yeah, no, I could see that working. Smash Brothers 6 is just a Dynasty Warriors game.
Smash Brothers 6.
I
Smash
put-
Brothers
I
makes a
probably-
good beat 'em up. I mean, you saw the Subspace Emissary.
That wasn't bad. Masahiro Sakurai had to fill a niche of style because keep in mind, party fighters don't play like good beat 'em ups. They play like good party fighters.
Eh.
So like their beat 'em up aspects were contained. I would like to see what Sakurai would do if put in the place to make an actual beat 'em up before I
Oh,
would
that's
give
Kid
him the
Icarus
win.
Uprising.
Huh? Oh, Kid Icarus Uprising was solid. It was my bar for Kid Icarus Uprising, mind you, is Drakengard. Because Drakengard was the one to do that hybrid gameplay style.
The problem with Kid Icarus Uprising is that's on the DS, and the DS does not have the controls for that, man.
I was gonna say Drakengard 2 still plays better than it. And if they want to get my vote on it, they need to get better than Drakengard 2.
Sakurai recently ended his YouTube series saying he's working on another game, so
Comes out. SpongeBob Warriors. And the autistics rejoiced.
Honestly, yeah, I'd be down for that.
I know you would.
Just for the fascination of it. I mean, SpongeBob's got enough characters. You're telling me you wouldn't want to play as Larry mowing down people on the beach?
I would love to play as my leg guy, and I'd like to roll on the ground holding my leg. That's what I would like to do, Jesse.
Oh yeah, my leg. Play as Bulbasaur and just sit on people? Yeah, that'd work.
Dude, pickles. Throw pickles at everybody. Spit them. Spit them open. you almost say spit on that thing? Did you almost do the meme, Jesse?
What? Sorry, no. What?
Okay, I just have to hear. You haven't heard the meme?
Oh, the Haktua?
Yeah. I just have to be careful when I say spit on it and somebody's like, huh? I'm like, no.
No, I was just laughing. In my way where I laugh by making multiple different noises.
But yeah, no. In closing, I think Sparking Zero will be an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 if they include the coolest parts of the Tenkaichi games, which is if I throw a spirit bomb, it better blow up the planet, you fucker, and then change the landscape. That's cool as shit, and I like it. Also, include more Dragon Ball characters. I want to be able to play as Aurelia and split the earth.
Oh my god, Sparking Zero is already like loud as having so many fucking characters. And now you demand more.
Oh, I demand the ones that they had in the previous game because you should always lead with having your base roster be the same as the last base roster.
I know.
If you're improving something, it's the same reason I was mad at Pirate Warriors 4. I'm like, you took out fucking Eno, you bitch. Where's
There's only
Ivankov?
100 characters in this game. Now I'm gonna starve. There's just SpongeBob reference.
I mean,
That's you.
it is. No, but like it's an actual issue. Other than the fact that they took out the Kazuna Rush, which is one of the best mechanics in the game series.
But Joey, you said last game this isn't Budokai Tenkaichi. This is Sparking Zero. There's no number at the end. It's an entirely different thing.
In Japan, all the Budokai Tenkaichi games are called Sparking Blank.
Shh. We're in America.
So
We use freedom speech here.
I mean, we did end up calling Resident Evil 7 Biohazard 7.
Biohazard
So, like,
7.
I mean, there's an argument to be made, Jesse. This is just Budokai. I'll be real. It's just Budokai.
Oh. We need to play more Phoenix Wright because, boy oh boy, the insinuations that that game takes place in America from the English localization gets real funny after a certain point.
Yeah, especially after the election.
Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about. We gotta get back to Phoenix Wright at some point.
Oh gosh. Is it sending me to prison?
No. Anyways. But yep, I think that's a good episode.
Oh yeah.
In short, try harder, Sonic Team. Okay, no, they're trying as hard as they can. Try harder, Sega. Try harder, Sega.
They're being starved like they're from Konami.
Oh, Konami's not allowed to make anything good anymore.
I mean, they've only been making packages, and I'm not mad about that because you know what I want on a current console? Games that cost $150 if I don't have them on a current.
Anyways. See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.